Welcome once again. It's a crazy world we live in. Hurricanes of massive proportion, wildfires out of control in the west. And guess what? The heaviest snowstorm, I think, in history at a little town called Ivor in Montana. Can you believe that? Three inches of snow. Yeah, this weekend, 3 inches of snow.
Already, wow.
Already, it set a record of some kind. It's crazy what kind of world we live in, but it's also crazy. This man who did this terrible attack, they have developed, we just learned, and I hope I'm accurate in what I say, is that he was on an antidepressant. You know, we have looked back and almost every one of these crazy shooters is on some kind of an antidepressant drug. And these things cause people to have, delusions and what have you. He obviously carefully planned his attack. He fired in a crowd in Las Vegas for up to 11 minutes. Authorities say they're confident that they can figure out why he carried out his massacre at a country music concert, the worst massacre in the history of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in dangerous, crazy times.
We really do. But investigators are counting on help from Paddock's girlfriend, who is now back in the U.S. And they've released police body cam video showing the frantic moments before they found the shooter. Heather Sells brings us the story.
The body cam video from police shows chaos and confusion as the attack unfolded.
Hey, they're shooting right at us, guys. Everybody stay down. Stay down. Where's it at?
The video also shows police doing whatever they could to help concert goers escape and save lives.
Hey, you guys, get down! Go that way!
Investigators say Stephen Paddock was meticulous in planning the attack. He set up cameras inside his hotel room and on a service cart outside his door to find anyone coming for him. A hotel security guard who approached his room during the rampage was shot in the leg.
He fired off and on for somewhere between 9 and 11 minutes.
Authorities have found almost 24 guns with him at the hotel, along with bump stock devices that can allow a rifle to fire continuously like an automatic weapon. But what they'd really like to know is what motivated Paddock to plan and execute the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Profilers think there may have been a major trigger in his life, a great loss or breakup or news of a terminal disease. Paddock was prescribed and bought an anti-anxiety drug in June, according to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Studies have shown that such drugs can trigger aggressive behavior. Authorities could learn more soon. Paddock's girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, returned from the Philippines to Los Angeles late Tuesday. Authorities say Paddock transferred $100,000 to the Philippines in the days before the shooting. In Las Vegas, more than 500 people are recovering from injuries in the attack. 45 were in critical condition, and survivors are still trying to process what happened.
Still hasn't fully hit me. It's kind of starting to, but not fully.
Seems surreal. It seems just a bad nightmare to wake up from, but I just keep seeing it in my mind still, and it's just haunts me.
Across Las Vegas, memorials are popping up as family and friends attempt to honor those who died and those wounded in this historic tragedy. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. I really believe, ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we as a nation order the psychiatrists and those who prescribe and produce these antidepressant drugs to test out the side effects, which are causing, in my opinion, many of these tragedies. These people are really not quite in their senses. They're driven to insane acts, and they show aggression that should not be shown. If this is the case, then we may be drugging people into a state whereby they go out and kill people. And I think something's got to be done about this. I mean, this is one paper in Las Vegas that brings this story, and I don't know if all the facts are true, but it has shown up in a number of these other attacks where you have these mass shootings, people run amok, and they do things that normal human beings shouldn't do. If we are drugging them into that state, then I think it's way overdue that we have controls of this. It isn't so much gun control, because you're not going to take guns away from the American people. There are 300 million of them out there on the street, and there is no way you're going to get them all in. But the thing that maybe that we could control is this pharmacopoeia that's coming out and drugging people. And if this is the case, it is a shocking revelation. Well, many in the city of Las Vegas have turned to prayer as they honor the victims of this deadly attack. John Jessup has that.
Thanks, Pat. The city is coming together as President Trump arrives today for a visit after the tragedy. CBN's Ben Kennedy spoke to some of the survivors of the Sunday night assault, and they told him stories of faith, prayer, and heroism. Here's his report from Las Vegas.
It is another somber day here in Las Vegas as the city and people nationwide are still mourning the dozens of people killed, gunned down right here behind me outside the Mandalay Bay Resort. In the midst of chaos, faith and prayer have taken center stage during the aftermath of the worst mass shooting in American history.
These people were blood from head to toe, and they're praying with us.
So you turned to prayer right after?
Yes.
Instantly. Kelly Maroney can't hold back tears when talking about the terrifying moment when the 64-year-old gunman fired a barrage of bullets into a crowd of 22,000 attending a country music festival.
But as we were running, he had a clear view of fire, and he was just laying down fire on us.
In an act of heroism, an off-duty Texas deputy police chief stayed on scene and helped rush 3 victims to the hospital.
They were all crying, and they were saying that, you know, we're going to die. We're going to die. And I still remember telling them, not tonight. Not tonight. Tonight's not your night. You're going to be okay.
Turns out they survived, thanks to Deputy Chief Ewer, who used his police training skills to stop the bleeding.
So I was ready. Saw his belt, took it off, got a tourniquet on this guy, and he was really, really bad. He had lost probably 25% of his blood volume.
Hundreds lined up outside United Blood Services, and in just one day, donated 600 pints.
It's really been incredible. I'm not surprised by the outpouring of donors.
And I think when all the investigations are over, that maybe we can all learn something that we could take forward in a positive way.
Do you offer prayers to the victims?
My prayers, my condolences.
President Trump comes to the desert in a few hours to offer his prayers and support, but also to show the people of this city and nationwide that in times of horror and tragedy, America comes together as one. Ben Kennedy, CBN News, Las Vegas.
Thanks, Ben. CBN News will have more coverage of the tragedy in Las Vegas on today's Faith Nation with David Brody and Jenna Browder on Facebook. Evangelical presidential advisor Paula White will discuss what she does to help encourage the president in the wake of a tragedy like the one in Las Vegas. Also on today's Faith Nation, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee will preview his new faith-based talk show. You can watch Faith Nation on Facebook.com/CBN News starting at 12:30 Eastern today. Well, the governor of Puerto Rico says the death toll from Hurricane Maria has risen from 16 to 34. The news comes after President Trump visited the island and congratulated its leaders on the relatively low number of fatalities.
Every death is a horror, but if you look at a real catastrophe like Katrina, what is your death count? 16 people versus in the thousands. You can be very proud.
The president spent about 4 hours on the island meeting with government officials and delivering relief supplies. Puerto Rico's governor says Hurricane Maria did about $90 billion in damage. So far, only about 7% of the territory has power. Worse yet, people there still lack food and water. The White House plans to seek $29 billion more in disaster relief from Congress today. Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico at a time when it was already suffering from a debt crisis. Pat, back to you.
Well, you know, you ask yourself, how much can America afford? $90 billion for Puerto Rico. There's no way that the United States can assume all that burden, but it's still going to be enormous. And the costs of the hurricane, or at least the Well, the rainfall that hit Texas, it was so overwhelming, that's going to cost billions of dollars more. Whatever happened in Florida is going to cost billions more. And I don't know if our insurance companies can take it. Apparently, they have reserves sufficient to take care of this. But it's a body blow to America. We just get hit one after the other. And the people are beginning to say, what is it that's happening? What's happening in the heavens that bring forth these terrible tragedies one after the other? I mean, I don't know of a nation that has had as many body blows as America has in such a short period of time. These are major problems. So if there was ever a time we need prayer, remember what the Bible says: if my people, which are called by my name, will pray, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. We've got to have an intervention of God here in this nation. There is no question about it. Well, you probably were reading the headlines, and there was something called Equifax that got hacked. The latest headlines today is that one of the major repositories of names has 3 billion names that were hacked. That's Yahoo. 3 billion names that were hacked. And Target Stores was hacked. And Chase Bank has been hacked. And more and more and more, we are subject to ongoing attack from hackers. Well, Regent University is doing something about it. And here's John with that story.
That's right, Pat. As you were saying, cyber attacks are always in the headlines. One recent example involves the credit bureau Equifax. A huge data breach compromised the personal information of around 145 million Americans. Now, Regent University has entered the battle against hackers. As Mark Martin shows us this week, the school unveiled its cyber range.
Surrounded by state and local dignitaries, CBN and Regent University founder Dr. Pat Robertson cut the ribbon to reveal the new Regent Cyber Range. The Institute for Cybersecurity partnered with CyberBit to create this high-tech laboratory.
Coordinators of the Cyber Range say it puts Regent University on the cutting edge of cybersecurity training for students, but also for businesses, governments, and military groups.
4 times the average size, the multi-million-dollar Cyber Range allows users to delve into automated real-world attack and defense and multi-scenario training.
If there's an attack that takes place against a corporation, if their executives have been trained on this system, they will be able to identify immediately what's happening and to take corrective action. That's what we will teach people.
The Cyber Range is one of the first of its kind at a private university. Executive Director Dr. Deva Henry gave CBN News a tour.
So from this station, attack scenarios can be generated. They can monitor how each trainee is doing. So the trainer can actually take control over a trainee station if he or she wants to.
In the midst of all the technology, Robertson believes the Cyber Range has spiritual implications.
Here is a company that's going to train people how to run the most sophisticated cyber range in the world, and I think that's a major thing in terms of establishing God's people as potential leaders.
Reports show that cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing career fields, and the demand is expected to rise to 6 million jobs in 2019. It looks like Regent University is well on its way in helping to meet that need. In Virginia Beach, Mark Martin, CBN News.
Leading the way in cybersecurity. Pat, back to you.
It was an exciting day. It really was an exciting event to unveil that. It was built by an Israeli company, CyberBit, and they brought it in. The president told me, he said, I think I can get it in the end of summer. I said, can you do it for us so we can have that ribbon cutting? He said, well, we'll try. Well, they brought it in, as we've said, on time and under budget. They're great people to work with, and this is an incredible. There is no university in the nation, ladies and gentlemen, that has anything near this sophistication or this size. It does not exist in America. We're the first in the nation to bring forth this cutting-edge technology.
That's amazing. And the Israelis, they know their stuff when it comes to
well,
cybersecurity.
They do, and we worked as partners, and it's just marvelous. The head of the company was here yesterday, as was the general who had been in charge of cyber security for the Israeli IDF. Regent's now going to offer a BS in cybersecurity, a BS in cyber and digital forensics, a Master of Science in Cybersecurity, and other computer science degrees. And we're equipping the next generation of cybersecurity professionals, and we will be having certificate programs, I might add, for people who just want to be known as cyber specialists, cyber security specialists. But this device, a corporation can bring 4 or 5 of their key executives, sit them at these tables and experience firsthand, real world, break-in cyber attack on their key employees, on their customers, on their accounts, whatever they are, and then we'll learn how to deal with it and fight it. It's amazing.
It's exciting. It's groundbreaking, really.
Well,
and
this is the only one in America, only university that'll have full-time use of anything this sophisticated. And we were thrilled yesterday to see it unveiled. It's a big deal.
Well, the future of warfare is probably, unfortunately, going to be cyber and hopefully not nuclear, but that's where we're headed.
Think of what Equifax is and then Yahoo, 3 billion accounts are hacked. All the data that's down there, all the Social Security numbers, all of the employment data, it's all out there in the great void, whatever that, up in the cloud. It's out there. And people don't, want that to happen. And here we've got a device that will train people how to fight that and fight it successfully. I mean, it was a great moment for us all.
Exciting. I know. I can see that you're beaming. This was a big deal.
It was a big deal. We had, the mayor of the city. We had a former governor there. We had many members of the General Assembly there. And it was an exciting thing for Virginia because this is cutting-edge technology, and we're hoping to have a tech center as Regent to become a center of technical learning. Isn't that great?
That's awesome. I love it.
They used to dismiss you. Well, you're just one of those little Bible schools off in the corner.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
All right.